Hey, what's going on, everybody? Real quick, today I had a wild hair up my butt, so I took my 22 Challenger Pro that I got from Ben at the Pellet Shop. Took it apart today because I wanted to get to the trigger because I didn't like the way the trigger was pulling, and I needed to measure the bore on the barrel, which, by the way, measures 0.2175. And I said, well, since I have it apart, let's show people what's in it. So, breech, barrel, wit, clegg. Then you have the tube. There you go. You can see there's fill pressure, and there is the high pressure side. Two different hammer springs. The long rod right here is the hammer guide. Delrin sleeve that goes over it. That goes into the back of the hammer. You notice my hammer is shiny because it looked like this. So I polished it. That should help a lot with FPS also. Then you have your hammer cocking pin, which I'm glad I did take this rifle apart because this thing wasn't in all the way. It was real loose. So, little blue Loctite, boom. We'll fix that. Hammer spring, since we're on the hammer. As you can see, one hammer spring is slightly longer than the other one. Well, this one, the longer one, is the spring that comes in the rifle. The one right there, the second one on the bottom, is the low-powered spring. It still pushes 40 grain slugs. That's a varmint knocker slug, by the way, over 1,000 feet per second. There is your magazine fill probe, extra O-rings. My buttstock is not the stock one. I took it off. It just didn't work out right for me. And as high as my Arkin sits with those rails on that breech. So I have this XLR Industries knockoff from Wish. Sorry about the carpet. On here. And that works out a whole lot better. I put the rifle I took this off of, which was no Raptor, something else. I stuck the original buttstock onto that rifle. Then you have your pistol grip cover, pistol grip, that all attach to, my bad, attached to here. You notice there's a pin right here. There's also a socket screw right here. They go in right there, and that pin right there prevents this from wobbling on you when you're shooting. That's why that hole is there. And here's the actual trigger. Here's your safety. There we go. There we go. And then the actual trigger mechanism, which is really nice and interesting, is right here. Again, I don't know if you can see it. That's polished. That isn't. It was really bad. It was really bad. So there you go. It looks better. That's better. So I actually polished the actual engagement area of the sear, and I didn't worry about that because that doesn't count. And I actually polished the end of it too. There's a recess right there. There is a recess right there. That's for your trigger spring. That sucker's pretty stout. Boom. It is pretty stout. I was thinking about switching out for something a little softer, but since I've done the polishing work on the trigger sear, I'm going to see how it shoots first. Also, I did see a video from Terry Fox on how to adjust your trigger pull. There's a screw that goes into there, a grip screw that goes in there, which tightens onto that thread right there. So I'm going to do that adjustment after I put it back together. And of course, you got your trigger guard. You have the pick rail adapter for a bipod. As you can see, I have an adapter on mine. I have the UTG pick-to-pick adapter, so I can use my Arkin bipod. Sorry, Accutech bipod. Ooh, don't kill me. Arkin, Accutech, Arkin. Yeah, I caught the scope. Don't ask. Arkin. And I have my Neil Clegg if I want to shoot hush hush. But right now I'm using the Wit because I'm wanting this rifle to shoot out to distances of 250 to 300 yards. And I find that a muzzle brake works better than an LDC. An LDC does strip some turbulent air away. A muzzle brake strips all turbulent air away. So if you're going to go long distance, you may want to consider a muzzle brake. And like I said, in this case, it is a Wit muzzle brake. It's got the portholes on top, vent holes on the side. Portholes do not go on the bottom like some people think. I will not name that person, because then you will have muzzle rise. They're on top to prevent muzzle rise. Then of course you have the pick to dovetail adapter rails that go onto the actual breech. There's your power adjuster. There's your transfer port. Measures 7.55, 7.56. That is huge. On your breech, you'll notice there's two little screws right there. That actually holds the actual bolt to the cocking mechanism. So if they wanted to, they could start selling barrel kits. They come with a new probe of a certain caliber, matching barrel of a certain caliber, and you should be able to change your caliber on your Challenger Pro like it was no big deal. I love this Challenger Pro. This thing has really made me rethink everything about AEA. I actually have the HP Max in 35 and 457 also. I haven't taken the 457 out, but the 35 does a really good job. Again, your 12 round mag. I took my rifle out one day. I forgot my fill probe. That's why I hate fill probes. So what I have started to do is here's where the fill probe goes. Now I just put the fill probe in there and I leave it. I just leave it now. Plus when you put this bottom rail back on there, it holds it. It covers up most of this, so about that much is sticking out. So I just decided to go that route. But that is a Challenger Pro in 22 deconstructed. Oh, real quick, this plate right here goes right here, and what it does is it hides the three screws that go in the back of the rifle right there. So you have three screws. They go up through the trigger assembly up into the rear of the tube. This small one will actually hold the plate in position. Say if you need to take the breech off, it'll retain the plate. That way you can remove the two rears and remove the two forward screws. Two forward screws go right there. Two rears go right there. And if you look at the breech, you will see, actually you'll see more than that. You'll see two sets of screw holes on the very rear. That's where those two back screws go. And the two right here in front of the transfer port. Two right there, you see there's a screw in there. That's for the cocking action. So you would remove that screw, remove the cocking pin. Again, on the bolt, remove those two torque screws right there. The bolt and all this will come out. So this will come out the side right here. The bolt will slide out the back of the rifle. I'm sorry, back of the breech. And you can change it over for left-hand cocking. Here's the rare earth magnet there and here to hold the cocking handle in place. There's your power adjuster for your transport or transport restrictor. It has, sorry, this isn't focusing very well, but there's minimum and max at 12 o'clock. So minimum is at 9, then you have 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. If it doesn't matter which way you go, if you start at 12, you either turn it to 11 or 1, it's still going to block the transfer port up the same amount. So basically, if you just deal with that half or that half, it's going to do the same thing. If you turn it all the way around where the 12 o'clock is at 6 o'clock, it's still going to do the same thing no matter which way you turn it. It just restricts the hole. To get that to move, you need to get a number 3. Number 3 Allen key. Loosen that up. Turn that where you want it. Tighten it back up. It does not move when the pressure hits it. And with the size of that transfer port and the size of this valve porting, it's a surprise it doesn't move that. This thing moves a lot of air. But again, that's my Challenger Pro in 22 deconstructed. I'm going to put it back together and see how this trigger goes. I'm not going to go through the process of showing you guys how to put it back together. I just don't want to right now. I got to get upstairs and take care of some things. But I just wanted to show you guys why I had the rifle apart, what it looked like. So you all have a good evening, and I'll see you guys on the flip side.